Welcome to Moonbase 2.
Hello everybody and welcome to the Moonbase 2 podcast. My name is Andy, Cobra Commander TFW, and I'm not joined by Mikey this week. No, I'm afraid our young, precious, sexy little Mikey has been affected with an STD, a suspiciously transforming Digimon. So we can only hope that Mikey purges his system from this awful Digimon virus and gets back to us next week, or we, send him messages to tell him that he's weak. So it's just me. I didn't have time to go and find another person to hook with a little fishing line and tow into the podcast, so it's just going to be me. Also, we do have a couple of, we have 2 questions and comments and whatnot, so we're going to leave those until next week, because they specifically have Mikey's name in them, so it wouldn't be quite fair to, do them if Mikey's not around, be kind of pointless. So, it'll just be me talking about news and what I've done week. So, hang on to your bootstraps. If you happen to have bootstraps, maybe sandal straps. I'm sure people wear sandals. Maybe it's not the weather for it now, but that's not the point, because we're going to kick off this week in Transformers with Banana Force MPL-02 God Armour, which is apparently the RID 2001. That's old. My God, that's nearly 20 years old. It's nearly 19 years old, but that's nearly 20 years old. But, children who watched this show are nearly in their 20s. That's disturbing. Horrifying time. It's the RID, as I mentioned, Ultra Magnus, or Car Robots version of God Magnus. Oh, can't even read. We've got 3D renders of him. We don't have like a prototype, but it gives you an idea of what this guy is going to look like. I think the MPL-01 was the strangely proportioned RID Optimus Prime, where you could pull off his armor and stuff, and we were like, oh well, they're gonna do Ultra Magnus, so this is this guy. So once again, it's a non-transforming action figure with made of ABS and DueCast, according to the story. DUE-CAST. C-A-S-T. Yeah, cast. I think they meant to put die-cast, but I like the idea of do-cast or Jew-cast. Either way, that tickled me slightly there. Apparently, this is what the little story says as well, in a very original move, their first release is not that of G1 character, but of that of the RID Optimus Prime, who I mentioned, or Fire Convoy, as he's known in Japan. So, Ultra Magnus, God Magnus. This is what we got. He is a chunky boy. He has big wings. He has big cannons on his back, and he has the sword. I can't remember what the sword for Godfire Convoy was called, or Omega Prime, but he's got that big. Was it the Matrix sword? Matrix blade. It's in the story. He's got the Matrix blade on his back. So if you want to make him into the Omega Prime, I think it doesn't say here, but I think it's fairly safe to assume, judging by his proportions and how he looks, that he's going to turn into arm and snap together onto Prime. So, on his own, the head mold's pretty sharp. It's pretty akin to what I would, hope Ultra Magnus from RID looks like. He does have some kissable lips, so if you're in the market for a robot that you just want to schmucker your lips onto and, like, rub your face on, I don't know how it goes. No, he's not Overlord levels of lips schmackingly good, but he's got some kiss to him. And, those poor boys and girls, he's got some fucking chunky forearms. I'm looking at the image. They are, I don't think this is unfair to say, maybe slightly smaller than the width of his chest, and he's got these almost circular wheel parts that kind of extend outwards to the shoulder. It's not the actual shoulder part, but it's the bit between the shoulder and the chest. There is no part on the human body like that. As far as I'm aware, I'm not a scientist, nor am I a doctor, nor have I conducted operations onto people to look at the underside of their skin. But the forearms are legitimately massive. Maybe a little too big. Maybe a little too big. It makes him look a little bit ridiculous, especially since his biceps are much, much smaller. Like, a lot smaller. I think this is there to pay off for the combined mode. But for Ultra Magnus here, or God Magnus, it makes him look, for me at least, a teeny bit on the ridiculous side. And because of the way his shoulders, his actual shoulders, not the wheelie bits I was talking about, his actual shoulders look, and the cannons on his back, the silhouette, like if you just showed the silhouette of this to somebody, I think most people would guess he would probably be a like stylized version of what's his name? Oh God, God Jinrai. There we go, God Jinrai. Just because the wing parts are at that angle, and he's got the cannons on his back. Granted, Super God Jinrai only has, the God Jinrai only has the one cannon, but it's still got that look to it. Again, purely silhouette kind of form, but it's an interesting style. I am looking forward to seeing how both of these two, like the Prime and Ultra Magnus, look together when they're all painted up and they're actually out, and how they will combine together. Because it is a very stylized version that is not it's not 100% accurate at all to how they looked in the show, and that's a good thing. A bit of variety, a bit of some spice, if you would. Interesting. Worried about the price. I think everyone should be worried about price for third-party toys, because that's, unless you've got loads of money. There you go. Another third-party toy, we've got Transform and Roll Out. I assume that's the company name. It's maybe not the most amazing name. Oh, this is the second project this company has done. They did an MP... Oh, Christ, of course they did. An MP scale G1 Jazz. MP scale. What a surprise. Excuse me. Yeah, Agent Meister, it's called, or that one, the Jazz one. I think this was a one Jai got, our Scottish friend Jai. It's the one where you could have Jazz with his door wings up, or you could fold them away like he was in the show. He had his little grappling hook and whatnot. But this is their version of, this is from the same company. And the second outing is apparently going to be Commander of the Stars, who's obviously Cybertron Optimus Prime, or Galaxy Force Optimus Prime. So it seems like Galaxy Force is getting a bit more of a push at the moment, or at least Galaxy Convoy, and I have to imagine that might be due to the official one, the Hasbro one coming out. Maybe that's making it a bit safer for third-party companies to do it. Maybe this was in the work before then. Difficult to say. I don't know how these third-party companies go about planning their stuff, but maybe it's something to do with that. Maybe it's not. So this is a transforming figure. Before you bite on metal and through the metallic surface, it is a transforming figure. From the information that's been told to news sites, he's going to be 24 centimeters tall in robot mode. And when you combine him into his super mode, he's going to gain an extra 4 centimeters, ladies. So he's going to be 28 centimeters tall at that point. The Fire Truck Alt mode will be 36 centimeters long, 10 centimeters wide, and 7 centimeters tall. So again, something to wet your whistle, if you would. And from the images that we have here, all CG renders, as far as I can tell. They may not be, but to me they look like CG renders. I mean, is it fair to say it looks better than the up and coming one for Siege? It's maybe not, because you're going to be spending more, but it does look better. It seems like he has individual posing fingers, which seem to have 2 joints on them. He's, so you can flip the bird, it seems. It doesn't look like they've got any ball joints for those fingers, to splay them open. But it looks like, there's a bit more motion there. The thumb looks like it's on at least 1 joint. I don't know if you can move the thumb like up and down. So if you wanted to give him the thumbs up pose, it looks like there might be a joint in there for that, but I wouldn't be 100% confident on saying yes or no to that. But maybe. There's definitely a joint in there, so he's holding his gun. So hopefully there'll be a peg on the gun handle, so you can at least peg it into the hand. Because I don't think anybody really likes it when a weapon has to hold in primarily through posable fingers. I think the posable fingers are always nice, but it shouldn't be the primary method of gripping something. As over time fingers get weak, as with humans as well. So I guess my only issue maybe with the Optimus Prime Galaxy Convoy, if you would, is the length of his legs and the girth, the muscle mass. Like, he's got very slender legs, which works for his non-combined form. But when you combine him into the Galaxy Force Prime mode, because you give him the extra booties, it elongates his, I guess, his shin and feet, obviously, and at least to my eyes, accentuates how thin his thighs are at that point. It looks good. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just, I think, just because of the size of the feet, it just throws it off slightly for me. He's got a hell of a wingspan as well for his combined mode. Like, those wings are very, very big. Good luck getting him on a shelf in this combined form. A shelf, you'll probably be fine. If you have him in a display case, that, depending on the size of your display case, I think that might be the part where, problems could erupt. Because mine are tall, but they're not wide. So I could see, like, maybe, hopefully you can fold the wings down or do something with them. But it's a little intense. The fire truck mode is, I mean, it's exactly what it was in the show, for better and or for worse. It was a unique looking vehicle mode, so that was a plus, but it also looked a bit of a mess, I think, at least. So they've recreated that fine for what the design was, but it looks solid. Not a figure that I would be pumped for, especially in terms of kind of unique designs. Maybe it would have been nice for them to start off with, not start off with because they've already done Jazz, but maybe do Master Megatron to go alongside the release of the Hasbro version of Siege Optimus Prime Galaxy Force Prime, because you could sell it. At least my idea would be, you could go, hey, other people are doing the third-party Galaxy Convoy, and maybe you're going to buy that, or maybe you're going to buy the official one, save some money, but you know what no one else is doing yet, or done yet? You could buy our masterpiece, our Master Megatron / Galvatron, because it's an easy repaint and better color scheme, arguably. It is. I think Master Galvatron was a better color scheme. It's neither here nor there. But it would go, hey, I have a new Galaxy Force Prime. I wish I had a new Megatron. And your company's already done that. Woo! Oh! And then you grab that, and to me that sounds like a better sell to people. Also, Megatrons, I would think, generally sell quite well. Instead of like putting out more competition for the same thing, strive out and be unique, and it's jumping on the same sort of bandwagon, but being a little bit more sneaky about it, at least in my eyes. But hey, if you wanted a slightly better, newer version of Galaxy Force Prime, because I hear he is still expensive, the original version at least, this might be a bit more up your alley. Doesn't say whether, he has the capacity to combine with, oh, bloody hell, Liga Jack, because we have no idea if anyone's going to do a Liga Jack. We have no idea if anyone's going to do the plane, who I want to say was Sonic Bomber. in Galaxy Force. I've no idea what he was bloody called in the US, because screw that version. And mostly screw the Japanese version as well, but, whatever. Again, I think he was Sonic Bomber in Japan, but so I do apologize if I'm not right there, but there's no indication that anyone's going to be filling in that for this figure. But maybe they will. Maybe they will. I suppose I will take us on, because, it's only me. Who else is going to pick up these stories? This won't be your first look, because I'm sure you've seen the images of it, and I've already seen the images of it, but we have images of War for Cybertron Siege Smokescreen. So, he is exactly what you suspect he would be. I don't know. I don't know. It's just, hey, here's more. I'm not sure if the head's different. I think the head is different, but it's not, to me, it's not that exciting. It's like, hey, here's the Thundercracker. Here's a Skywarp. It's like, oh, all right, he's Smokescreen. Woo! Rock and roll. He does, if you're interested, though, because it's only fair to mention, he does have his side head shoulder gun blaster thingamabobs. And I think that's a different head sculpt from Prowl's. At least I think so. I don't like this. I don't like this, and it's primarily because in robot mode, he's not shown a lot of red at all. He's very, like, his top half is very blue, and then his from biceps to forearm, biceps to hands, and abs to the feet is just black. Grayish, if you want to be like really dark gray, and then his groin is full black. But when I say it's really dark gray, I mean, from these images, it looks like it's black pretty much. It's only slightly lightened up from that, but not by much. So to me, it comes across as a very boring looking figure with not much pow, not much wowie, not much zowie, kapow, kasplat, any of that kind of stuff. And I don't know why, but when looking at this version, like, Smokescreen looks like he's got some high heels on, so, work it, Queen. Yeah, I don't know. It just doesn't do it for me at all. I mean, the mold wasn't really rocking my boat to begin with. I think the best version me and Mikey have talked about before was the Barricade, and even that we were like, it's a bummer that the face was just kind of, cheaped out on, because it should have had, I think it should have had a unique sculpt, and Mikey, I think from what I recall, agreed. We said it should have had the head sculpt from, oh god, remembering all the movies. The last movie Barricade was in, that one, which was The Last Night? We'll throw that out. We'll say it was The Last Night. He should have had the head from The Last Night. But there you go. So yeah, Smokescreen. He's exactly what you assume he would be. So, yay! Woo! Good stuff. Now, there were two stories from Mr. Travis Knight. The first was him explaining how the continuity and stuff between the movies. I'm not gonna, because I don't care, and I don't think you should care either. It's in my eyes, it's such a superfluous story. It's like, here's the continuity between the movies if you want. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Just leave it. Let the past die. So he was another story that Mr. Travis Knight did, as he expresses his interest for another Transformers movie, which to me is very much like when you hear someone on, well, not someone, but when you hear a news article, you know what I mean, about a celebrity who says, I would love to do X role in a movie. I'd love to be paid money for work, is always how it comes across. And to me, once again, it's the same idea with a director. It's like, hey, would you like to be on a expensive movie and get some money? Well, yes, I would like to do that. I didn't hate my time doing the last thing I did related to this, so yeah, why not? But we may as well go through his little statement here. So Travis Knight said, I viewed the film as a self-contained thing. Every film that I've ever done, I viewed it as I viewed it as, and then it's got in quotations, this is a statement about this. There are these characters. This is our point of view this is our point of view and on this story. This is our point of view and on this story. All right. Once it's done, it's done. So I tend to not think about sequels or where the story goes beyond that in terms of actually producing something. However, every single thing I've done, these characters, every single thing I've done, these characters, they reside in your mind and imagination. You live and breathe them for so long. There's something about how this is worded that almost seems like it's been Google translated. You always imagine their lives and their stories outside the confines of the pictures. What happened in their life before, what happened in their life after. You actually create these stories even though they never made it into the movie. So, in my mind, I have all kinds of ideas where Charlie goes from here, where Bumblebee goes from here, where Optimus Prime goes from here. In my mind, I've already made those movies on some level. Like you say, if the stars align, I would tell another story in the universe. I mean, I love the characters, so I'd be thrilled to be able to tell a different kind of story in that universe. Time will tell. So yeah, I'd like a job. I'd like a job as a writer to be paid lots of money. Sorry, not a writer, as a director to be paid lots of money. From a creative standpoint, yeah, I believe the creative people who do these things, and you spend 2 years or however long it takes to make a movie of your life as a director as well. You're in there elbow deep from ground pound time. I imagine that these characters do stick with you a lot longer than they would do for us. We sit down as an audience member, and we've got, depending on the length of the movie, 1.5 hours to 3 hours in the terms of Endgame. So I hear. To connect with these characters, while a director, people who work on the movie have months to years to connect to these characters. So it makes sense, at least in my mind, that some of these people might get more attached to them than we would, and would already start planning out ideas for where they would go and what they would do. And that sounds like it's the case here as well. Not a huge story, but he's just saying, hey, I'd do another one. And, good. I would not be against Travis Knight doing another Transformers movie. I don't think it was nearly as good as his other work. Personally, I think Kubo and the Two Strings is a much better film than Bumblebee. But Bumblebee was still good. So yeah, give him another one. Why not? But maybe it's not a good idea to give him too many. Maybe give a different director for the next one, and then bring Travis back for another one. I don't think we want to fall into the horrible kind of pit of Michael Bay. Now, I'm not comparing Travis Knight and Michael Bay together, but I don't think there's anything wrong with maybe mixing it up director-wise, just to have a bit of diversity there, just so we're not locked into one vision forever, or at least for another 15 years, or however long the Michael Bay live-action movies went on for. At least that's my perspective on it, at least. I like the idea of maybe getting someone else. Man, a Del Toro Transformers movie. I'm not sure that would work, but I'd 100% give it a go. I'd want if I was an executive producer at one of these big studios, I'd be 100% the idea. I'd be like, movie set on Cybertron, no humans, Del Toro, fucking go for it, my brother. Go crazy, do what you like, but within the confines of the world of Transformers. Don't go too insane, but do that. I'd be like, yeah, go for it. Yeah, I'd like to see Del Toro do that, but that's that's just me. We'll move on, because Transformers the trading card game continues as Soundwave, Ultra Magnus, Major Shockwave, and more upcoming in Wave 3. So I didn't know that Wave 3 had already been announced. It only feels like a few weeks ago we were talking about Wave 2 coming out, or came out. And Wave 3 is already trotting out soon. 28th of June. So next month. That's not that really isn't far off. Holy crap. I don't know what the turnaround on like Magic the Gathering or other card games are, but this seems like a very, very quick pace for a card game. And I mean, if you're into the cards, like I know a few people are, I mean, this is great. This is just going to keep you entertained for a while, and the more cards you have, the more strategies you can come up with, and all that kind of jazz. And it just branches out your gameplay potential. So hey, that's good. It just seems like a lot, especially if you're someone who wants to get all of the cards and you're not like a man or a woman, an adult, I should say, who has disposable income. If you're just a kid who's like, I like Transformer cards, I want to get all of Season 1 or Wave 1, you're fucked. I want to get all of Wave 2. It sounds like you might be fucked soon. And I know there's that thing of you don't need to have the full set, but at least for me, when I was doing Pokemon cards all those many years ago, I didn't play the game. I just wanted to collect them cards and have them all, have one of everyone. Except the item cards, because no one gave a shit about them. You just wanted the Pokemon's cards. That's all you wanted. It's like, oh, I got a shiny health spray. Who gives a fuck? No one did. I didn't, at least. Anyway, new characters like Shockwave, Major Ultra Magnus, and Major Shockwave, in brackets, which means they're powered up versions, i.e. what I assume, at least from the images of Shockwave, the Siege versions of those characters are coming in hot. But there's more than just that. There's also Battle Masters and Micromaster cards as well, again linking into Siege, which seems... Maybe that's why it's coming out soon. Just because Siege is going on, it almost seems like a cash-in on that, which is fine. It's just like a, alright, okay, alright. I see what you're doing. I know what you're doing. Since scale is everything, these cards, being the Micromasters and Battlemaster cards, are going to be 88 millimeters tall by 63 millimeters wide. And offhand, because I'm not a ruler man, my mind is not that of a ruler of centimeters and millimeters. I can only assume that that's the size of a regular card that you'd get in Magic. Like, maybe that's the size of a, what they're called? The action cards. You know, the battle cards. Yes, the battle cards. So, the new boosters for this set, the new War for Cybertron Siege boosters, as they're called, quite appropriately since it seems to be connected, will include one large character card, which is your normal character card, one small character card, so that'll be your Micromaster or Battle Master, and then 6 battle cards. So it sounds like you're just getting a free card. I'm wondering then if the price is going to go up on these, or anything else changing in their pricing. I don't know. Hopefully they'll stay similar, the same. And that's, again, this is the 28th of June 2019, at least for the US, and then however long it takes after that to circulate around the rest of the world. The set has 48 character cards, 64 new battle cards, 64 battle cards, I should say, including tons of brand new art, and a few fan favorite characters that have been hotly anticipated since Wave 1! Exclamation point, it says. So, neat, cool. It continues. Transformers will return for War of Cybertron Siege 2. That's right at the bottom of the image. It says, Transformers will return in War for Cybertron Siege 2. Oh, because it's got Siege 1 here. It says Siege and there's a big 1 behind it, so it looks like whether that... I assume that probably correlates with the toy line as well. Maybe we're in Siege Wave 1 or Siege Level 1 at the moment, and then we'll move on to 2, and the cards will do the same. So, it shows a few cards here. We have the Ultra Magnus armor, and it gives you some stats. It has a little image here. What's a Battle Master? Small character card. Flips between... an upgrade and a bot mode, so it doesn't have an alt mode. It's an upgrade card, it seems, which is a nice idea because the image we've got here is of Private Fire Drive. I kept thinking it said dive, but it's Fire Drive. who's the target master. So his front card is the robot mode side, which is 5, 6, 7 stars. And then the other side is it says duo charge electrostatic photon cannon. A gun, basically. So that's neat. That's an interesting idea. So you can have character. I wonder how that works then. Because do you put this in your deck as... No, you can't put this in your deck because you can't have it upside down. So it'd need to go into your star pool. I assume. I don't know. And then it says, what is a Micromaster? And it says, again, the same thing. And it says, flips between upgrade and the bot mode. So the problem, at least with this image, is it says, what is a Micromaster? And it shows Reader Aimless. The problem here is it has him listed as a Battle Master on the card. So it's not really shown a Micromaster, which is a bit weird. Maybe a bit of a misstep there. Yeah, so we don't have an example, at least here, as far as I'm aware, of a Micromaster, as it shows Aimless. And again, it shows him in a gun mode. So, there you go. Neat ideas. I like the idea of that. And then it shows Ultra Magnus, got the Shockwave with his fancy boat spaceship mode from Siege. Then it shows off Grenade Launch, Improvised Shield, and a load of other cards that are already out, which seem to be kind of staples of the card game. Ones that you'll be making giant bonfires of and burning the cards away into nothing, I'm sure. But there you go. Card game stuff. It's still a thing. You see, you can jump on still and get into the card game and enjoy yourself. And the last bit of news I'm going to talk about with you guys this week is the fact that TFCon Toronto, which is the July the 12th to the 14th, has a new guest announced, which is Bob Budiansky, Marvel G1 comic writery person. Writer? Is it writer? Yeah. Artist. Yeah, comic book artist. I think. Bob Budiansky, he's a big name. I just can't remember offhand what he does. So, because my brain's turned to poo as I'm having to process everything at the moment. And I can't do that. My brain's not made to do a one-man podcast, I tell thee. So, if you like Bob Budiansky's work, and you're heading to TFCon Toronto, there you go. Another guest announced. Sweet. That's all of the news for this week, then, my young friends, or old friends, as some of you may be older than me. So the questions, as we do every week, we move on to what have I been up to this week. Tut lads. I've been real busy with work, so that's been a drain on my happiness levels. In terms of fun things I've done, though, I finished off... Oh, there it is, yes. My brain just kind of conked out. I finished off watching Kaguya-sama, Love is War. Man, that was a good show. That was a really fun, entertaining, and sweet show. Lots of laughs, lots of good times. Once again, if you don't know the premise, it's between two characters who won't admit that they love each other. And the idea is to trick the other one in games of mental gymnastics to get the other one to admit that they like them. Because neither of them wants to admit it, because whoever does, in their eyes, gives away the power. And those who have no power are trodden on and stomped in the relationship. That's their idea. That's only their idea. No one in the rest of the world believes that. As they always have this horrible image of, like, they're like, oh, it's always like, okay, I could ask her for a phone number. And then it's like, oh, but what if but then she'd think like this, and it goes into like a dark version of their character, and it's always like, oh, kawaii desu ka? And it's like, no, don't call me cute, no, in a cynical way. Oh, how cute. But no, it was enjoyable. You could argue it doesn't end in a satisfying way, but it ends in a way where the series can happily continue. Which I'd like to see. I'd like to see more of this show, as it amused me. It amused me greatly. So that's Kaguya-sama Love is War. You can probably find that on whatever services of anime internet that you use. I would recommend it. It's funsies time, and if you like funsies, you'll like this. 12 episodes, so you're in and out pretty fast as well. I watched obviously the Shield Hero once again this week. Good, always fun, always a good time watching more of that series develop. I'm trying to recall what happens. So let's have a bounce through to episode just to rejig that brain. Still don't like the intro. Oh, that's right. We get introduced to a new character, and we see a bit more of Raftalia's past, which was nice. And now we have a new little quest, which is go and save Giant Chicken. So that's always good. And Melty gets a bit more character. So oh, bless you, Melty, and your shitty dad, who's the king. So yeah, that was good. So to fill that out, since I've finished those series, I moved on to watching 2 episodes of Full Metal Panic, which is an old show at this point. Haven't watched too much of it. Obviously, I only watched the 2 episodes, and it seems to be so far about a PMC group protecting a girl from being kidnapped by the KGB for some reason. I don't know why. And there's a giant robot mech in it who can go invisible, but it hasn't really done anything. At the moment, from these 2 episodes, it's the main character and the girl interacting in a kind of a rom-com fashion, as he doesn't know how to interact with people because he's your hero Yui type from Gundam Wing, very emotionless and doesn't quite understand how human beings interact with each other. So it's just kind of falling into that rom-com at the moment. And I had Kaguya-sama, Love is War, to watch instead, and I was like, if I'm gonna watch a rom-com, I'd prefer to watch Love is War, because it's more funny. And the action is a little bit more interesting. Like I say, I'm only 2 episodes in, so I will need to give it more of a hoof. But currently, it hasn't really... It hasn't hooked me. And the intro is garbo. The intro sequence is fucking garbo. The song is not very good, and the actual animation to go along with that intro sequence, I think, is a bit on the Waz side. It's just like yeah, all right. I don't mind too much if I don't like it, because I only paid £5 for it, because I got it during a sale. But if I don't like it, it's just like all right. It was £5 for 25 or so episodes. Don't like it, whatever. It's not a huge loss. It's mainly a bit annoying, but not a massive bummer, if you would. So, because I couldn't be bothered to do any more of Full Metal Panic, I thought, all right. Well, I tell you what else I haven't done in a while. I hadn't finished watching the Orville season 1, so I did that, and I've started the Orville season 2. It's good. The Orville season 1, I finished it off, and I was like, yeah. It's still not a perfect show. It's not an amazing replacement for Star Trek, but it is enjoyable. It certainly feels like Galaxy Quest, the movie, which you should definitely watch if you've never seen it before. It has those elements in, which is nice. I still find the sets, for the Orville at least, there's something that always just feels a little bit, I don't know, a little bit off with them. I don't want to say they feel cheap, because that doesn't feel fair. That feels like it's a bad mouthing it, and I don't want to. But I think because of the way it's lit, and the color choices they've used for, the carpeting and the walls and the ceilings, it feels very much like a set. Actually, I don't know if it's got background hum either, because I know on the Enterprise, especially in the Cardos, I'm sure there was always like a background just so you knew that you were on a ship. I don't know if that's on the Orville. I'll need to listen out next time. But yeah, the interior of the Orville, maybe because it's so clinically clean, it doesn't feel like a ship. It feels like a set. But the stories themselves, they're not the best like sci-fi stories, and they are like, you've seen some of them before, and some of them don't give you the best conclusion ends to them. but it's still enjoyable. And season 2 continues it on. Like, one of the strengths of the Orville is they have every now and again in the crew, they have aliens who are not just human colored dude with bits of prosthetic stuck to them. Like, when I say bits of prosthetic, I mean like, oh, they've got pointy ears, or oh, they've got a little ridge on the nose, or something simple like that. There are some aliens that have a very, very abnormal full body suit. One that almost has like a graboid mouth from Tremors, and he's got a little tongue thing that comes out, which again reminded me a lot of Tremors. But he's got like a big almost cow, not cow. I'm not sure how to describe it, because when I looked at it, I associated it with a cow. And I associated the description of a cow in a game when I saw this creature as like being like a cow, even though it wasn't. But I suppose it's more of an elephant-like creature, just with this weird graboid head. So it's good to see like very alien creatures on the Orville as well. Not all the time, obviously, and I get why they can't do it all the time, because makeup's fucking expensive, and it's a pain in the ass to do. So if anyone says, oh, they just have a load of people with bits of plastic stuck to the face, it's like, well, I mean, is it a bummer? Yeah, it's understandable. It's understandable when that happens. So I'm so far 5 episodes through that. I haven't watched the new Game of Thrones just yet, as it just came out yesterday. That might be bedtime viewing for tonight, me reckons, just for something, fun to watch. Actually, I don't know. I suppose it depends how long the episode is, because they're meant to be long episodes now, I think. Yeah, I'm gonna have to think about that. I'll check how long the episode is, because I don't want to be like hitting bed and getting into bed at like 1 o'clock and having the episode finish at 3 or something like that, and I go, oh God, kill me, please. I gotta get up early tomorrow. You could go to bed early, Andy. Well, you could go to hell. How about them apples? Anything else of interest that I've been up to this week? As I smack my luscious lips together. The only other thing I did was something I got in the post, and this is unfortunately down to Mark the Brickinator, because he's a bad influencer. I got a Figma Mordred from Fate Apocrypha, also known as Saber of Red, because in that series they decided we don't have enough servants, so how about we double them? And that unfortunately ended up, at least in my opinion, not flushing out a very good story overall. The story of that show was a bit on the side, and there was some super underdeveloped characters as well as servants. And unfortunately, the main character was so fucking boring. Oh God, he was awful. But I did like Mordred. Mordred from Arthurian mythology. I'm not going to go into into Mordred's character in that show. It's interesting, and you can find out all about Mordred's backstory and whatnot if you go onto YouTube and stuff. So this is the first Figma I've bought in a really long time. I can't remember the last time I got. Probably the last one I got was one of the Persona ones. It was probably, oh God, what was her name? Not Aegis. It was the other robot chick who was only in the Persona fighting game. Labris? I think it was Labris. I think she was the last Figma I got, and that was a long fucking time ago. Mordred's a really good figure. Really fun, really posable. Did have some issues. She has some, the way her armor works is, in the show, her helmet almost kind of transforms around her, and she has the horns pointing out the side of the head. And when the helmet comes off, it kind of again transforms down. Think of like the helmets from Stargate, how they kind of opened up and kind of shifted around and then down onto the body. It's the same idea. I like that. Yeah, Stargate reference. Yeah. It does the same thing. So the horns that would poke out the side of the helmets kind of go onto the shoulder blades, so they'd be pointing backwards. One of the and you can remove those pieces, so you can either have her with the helmet on or with these pieces onto her shoulder, and you change a few of the pieces around as well. Now the horn part on the shoulder pad was really easy to knock off. The other one was fine. It had no issues on it. It was just one specific one where it wouldn't just flop off, but because of, moving and posing and touching the figure because it's an action figure, you just knock it and it would drop off, and it was like, oh, what a pain in the ass. So because I've been doing so much modeling and stuff with minifigures and stuff from Games Workshop, I thought, bugger it, I've got super glue. Why don't I just use that? So I've super glued the parts together. It seems to be in there securely. Did my pantaloons fill up a little bit with fecal matter at the idea of, oh god, am I destroying this plastic? Am I gonna see paint flaking off of this? It did put a little bit of worry in me, but I thought, you know what, Andy? It sticks cork together. It sticks plastic together. This is for metal as well. The plastic should be fine, and so far it seems to be okay. So, time will tell. Sadness will come in time, I'm sure. Again, that's not a huge issue. It's just one of those things where you're like, that's a bit of a bummer when you get it straight out of the package and it does that. Another small issue is, which I fixed, but was a bit of a problem at first, was you can change the hands around. Obviously, there are multiple hands. But at least when changing the hands first time around, they were a fucking pain in the arse, let me tell you. I'd pull out the hands because they were closed fist hands, and the actual wrist joint came out with them. Now, obviously, the wrist joint's meant to stay in the forearm. That wasn't the case. So I had a real job pulling the joint out, which is if you think of a ball and then stick a peg out one end and a peg out the other, and those are two halves that kind of snug together to make a bendy joint. That's what this joint is. So I had to finagle because I'd cut my nails as well. So I had no nails to hook under the round shape of it to yank it out. Eventually it gave in, and I persisted and finally got them out. And they're not nearly as awkward as it was originally. I'm really impressed with how the figures turned out. With the helmet on, it looks really good, and the two extra faces are really good and expressive. There's a kind of a smug look, a fairly happy look. There's a kind of a happy look with the little pointy anime tooth out of one side of the face, because that's a fun one. And then a hey hey hey, I'm gonna get you kind of face, a big smile, a menacing smile, which is nice. All of the faces are really good and expressive, and they've been put on the face really well, played really nicely. The figure's fairly posable as well. The legs lack posability just because it's a very heavily armored figure. So, yeah, pieces will knock off each other and will restrict movement in that sense. But I think for what it does it well. I just wish there was a bit more posability in the hips, because you can't get the hips out too far, and you need to finagle it around to get the legs to move upwards, for a kick. And I kind of wish the elbows could move a bit more than 90 degrees, but again, that's due to the armor and how that all goes together. But no, I'm very impressed. Very impressed. I'm looking forward to getting more Fate stuff, because I like Fate, the Fate series. It's fun. Yeah, little sad by how much you have to pay for Figmas these days, but there is quality behind them, so I can't shoot it that much. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I think that's it, guys, for the most part. Look, I'm as usual looking around inanely to see if there's anything else. I don't know why I am though, but I think that's it, guys. Thank you for listening to me ramble off. Nearly got it to an hour, not perfectly, but it was just me. Excuse me. So this was all Mikey's fault, as it always is. Remember that. No questions this week, just because it's me. So if you want to find us, you can head over to Twitter. We're on Twitter. We're on Facebook. We're on Libsyn. We're on YouTube as Transformers. On Moonbase 2 Transformers Podcast. We're on Patreon as patreon.com/Moonbase2, where you can do $2 each month and get the extended version of From the Files of Teletron 2 and get it a week earlier than everybody else. And you can also get an episode of Moonbase Woo Woo where we talk about non-transformery things in greater detail, at least. And that's, yeah, and you can head over to ccbunker.weebly.com if you'd like to get all of this stuff as well, and if I put up anything else, which sometimes I forget to do. And if you want to contact Mikey, you can do that via, again, the Twitter page, his Twitter page, which is, I can't remember, Irish Paleo something dark side. It's Irish Paleo. He's there. He's on Twitter. But contact him on Twitter through Moonbase, Moonbase2. You can find him easily enough. Send us some messages through the other ways that Mikey tells you to contact us. Or you can do it via Patreon. Or you can send me a tweet. Or you can leave a message on the Weebly page. Where we do actually have a Weebly comment. But again, I'm going to save that for when Mikey comes back next week. So, person who left the Weebly comment, thank you very much. But we shall... handle that. We shall handle our business next week, unless Mikey is once again ill, and then we go and nail him to a board and string him out by his ears or something. I don't know. We can break his kneecaps or something good like that. So thank you guys for listening. Hope you've enjoyed the show, and I will catch you, I guess, next week with or without a Mikey. Catch you later, guys. Bye bye.